Fermented foods.
Oh, that's a question we get a lot.
Yes.
Talk to me. What are your thoughts about it?
So fermented foods, I think, is a good way to introduce like diversity to your microbiome. And
Your gut
bacteria. You do want a diverse population as much as possible. And so that's really how we get those gut bacteria through fermented foods. So there's a whole bunch of different types of fermented foods, depending on what person will, what they're willing to eat. But it's just to increase your gut diversity.
So give me your top few fermented foods that you like or you recommend.
Well, recommend usually the top number one is usually yogurt, because that's where everybody, they're not averse to it or saying like, oh, I don't really want to eat that. Yogurt and cheese. So those are the top two. And then we can start going into the other types of fermented foods like kimchi or kombucha or those kind of things.
Sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut, yes. Mm-hmm.
My favorite. I had the best sauerkraut, probably the best food mix I ever had that I never thought would be so delectable was sauerkraut and the doughy pretzels in Germany.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That was like, it's a staple. It's like French fries, you'd get this sauerkraut and these, like, they just make those big pretzels. It was so delicious. But the sauerkraut is a very staple food in Germany. I'd be curious to see, like, do they have improved microbiomes? Do they have better, similar to, what kimchi is Korean.
It's Korean,
right?
yes.
So I'm wondering, do those populations do better? Do they have less?
Well, it seems like a lot of the populations, because that's how they also preserved foods. So that you will find in the different cultures, their version of some fermented foods. So it's I think it's less here, just because we don't do those old ways of preserving food.
More sort of processed
and
chemicals.
Yeah.
So what is it about, do you think, the fermentation process that makes it so healthful?
Because you're adding bacteria. So you are kind of doing like a precision growth of certain bacteria, because you obviously don't want any bacteria to grow. So that's why in all those different processes, they kind of control like how the temperature is and, what starters they use so that you can grow certain bacteria in those foods.
So speaking of starters, again, it's Doctor's Lounge. We're allowed to say anything. I am like a little crazy right now trying to make sourdough.
Okay, there you go.
And you have to have the starter packets.
So sourdough technically is fermented, but because of the baking process, you do kill off the bacteria that are growing, but it doesn't matter because your immune system still kind of will react to the bacterial fragments.
So a sourdough with sauerkraut.
There we go. Add some yogurt to that.
With some interesting. So I never thought. So sour, is it the word sour in there for a reason? Maybe it
because the acidity. Yes.
So does the acidity also play into the gut microbiome?
Well, that's just how those bacteria decide that's what they make. So that's a lot of the fermented foods will have those sour notes.
Is that different from pickling?
Yes. Yeah. So pickling, you are adding the vinegar to it, and that is your automatic acidity. So it's not allowing any bacteria to grow. So you can do like quick pickling, you can do like longer pickling, but yeah, you have already added the acid, so you kill pretty much anything that is trying to grow. Interesting.
So your top foods, yogurt, kimchi. What was the third one?
There's cheese. Your
cheese.
If
is there any cheese that's better than the other?
If it's a traditional cheese, so it's made with a starter and all that, but I wouldn't recommend like the processed cheese because that would not contain anything.
Like a slice of American cheese.
That not.
A cheeseburger is probably not.
That's not it. Like blue cheese.
Now, do you get like when your microbiome? Because I you as my personal functional physician, have me on the probiotics. And I feel a GI difference when I take them and for a period of time. And then I just have them on my, in the bathroom. And I remember I don't take them daily. I take them periodically. But it seems like everything kind of works a little bit better. Once the flora grows,
Yes.
does it stay like?
No, it doesn't. That's why like having fermented foods, it's usually on a daily basis. You do try to have them daily. And if you're not able to get in the 3 to 5 servings of fermented foods a day, then that's when I recommend a probiotic. Yeah.
Based on what you're eating that day.
Based on what you're eating that day.
So the bacteria so quickly overgrow?
Or start to go down in their numbers.
What about people that have to take antibiotics for, say, some sort of an infection?
Yeah, that's the problem with antibiotics is that you're going in, you're killing everything, the good, the bad, everything. So I do recommend them take probiotics while they're on the antibiotic, but just kind of shifting when they take their antibiotics compared to when they take their probiotics. But I do like them to continue that through that antibiotic course and then for weeks after, just trying to get their microbiome back.
So interesting. So you don't stop, per se, antibiotics in your practice. You just orient it around probiotics. And
Yeah, I definitely only give antibiotics when I absolutely have to. I don't like giving it for colds.
Right, viral.
It's viral.
Most of them are viral,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, so there has to be a really good reason for them to take antibiotics.
Super interesting. Okay, so from a fermented foods perspective, I think we identified a couple of good ones. The idea around yogurt is also something I've changed since sort of talking to you. I happen to love Greek yogurt and not one that ever really had the sugary yogurts, right? The ones that have
all the flavoring, and if you're trying to make it taste like dessert, then it's probably not going to work as well as just a plain yogurt.
Right. So it's got to be kind of plain yogurt.
But you can put berries in it, and you can put other stuff to make it.
Add them yourself, so you've got kind of control of that process.
Yes.
So the yogurts, kimchis, if you can,
if you like it.
Yeah, I happen to love it, and I'm going to add sauerkraut just because.
There we go, sauerkraut.
You can do it, and good cheeses, which is the way, say, for instance, the French. Maybe that was part of the French paradox. The French paradox was always this idea that, like, it seems like even though these French that were studied were smoking like fiends, they weren't getting as many diseases, and their mortality was fine. You just imagine someone outside of a cafe on the Champs-Élysées having
a cigarette.
Yeah, cigarette. But they also would have like a little wine and cheese, and people were like, oh, the wine must be the good part.
Okay.
But
maybe it's
not.
the cheese.
Maybe it was the cheese that was helping them, because that's part of their dessert, a bigger part of their
They do
diet.
They do eat a lot of cheese, don't they?
Yeah. It's a very common part of their meals.
Yeah.
So because the wine part of it has not really, and that's a whole episode unto itself. But the best alcohol in the human body has pretty much been determined to be zero alcohol. Right next to that is a very mild amount, right? A mild, a low amount, and then you get into that J curve where it spikes up with having more of it. So, so the idea that it was the alcohol maybe negating the effects of the smoking is probably not true. Maybe it was the cheese. It's interesting. That would be a good look at that study from those days when we were. When we were looking at it alongside, well, maybe it was the resveratrol, which that really hasn't panned out in human data. The essence of the grapes, trying to lead to red versus white, which right now we really don't recommend either. We recommend no alcohol, but if you're going to take it in limited, in limited amounts, so less than a glass a day,
And how big is the glass? Because that's because there we go. Might be too much.
Right. Okay. Well, those are good tips. Okay. Well, I think we covered kind of the fermented food questions. A lot of these are coming from questions, so I encourage everybody at home to, write us questions. We'll get to as many of them as we can during the, upcoming podcasts.